So this is my Monday vibes of the weekend collaboration, and we're links. That's the hangout. Yeah, go. So maybe Faith, could you? Mike's I think muted because Lira is talkative. Do you wanna talk to us, Faith?
Yeah. What do you want to hear?
I don't know what we're doing.
Huh?
Tell our thousands of viewers what
You're breaking.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Oh. Here's what we're doing.
Yes. Matt, you muted.
I'm waiting for thousands of viewers.
And you're breaking.
So yeah, okay. Mike, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me? Do you want to today?
Yeah. Matt. Hello.
Yes. How's it going? I was suggesting that someone introduce what we're doing today.
Oh yeah. So today we will be looking at I think the part 3 of the homework. Let me just get to it. It's called Hang Person Game. So I think yesterday we finished writing test for the part. Was it part 1 of the game? So we did Hang Person's game.
You've been finished.
Yeah.
Like the last thing that we're still writing the method for
the guess method.
The display, yeah, word with guesses.
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I think I was speaking ahead because maybe I had gone ahead with a few things today. But
oh, cool.
Yeah, but I think yesterday we finished this how do you call this describe block? Display.
Oh,
I'm here.
Faith is back. Can you hear us now, Faith?
Yeah.
Awesome. I was worried there for a minute. Mike, what was your question? Sorry, how do we define the describe block or something like that?
Yeah. The describe, how do we call this? Like this, you can just call it describe, right?
Yes, it's a describe block.
Yeah. So yesterday we did implement functionalities to make the tests on this describe block pass. Then today I think we are just going to finish it out with the continue with the game status, and yeah.
So I don't know if Faith, you're able to share your screen as well or not, or if Mike, you want to go to the README, but I think that there is still stuff that you need to do you need to implement for, isn't there still stuff that you need to implement as part of this part 1?
Okay.
So it says there. So it's no. Stop moving. No.
How up?
No, Mike, go down. Go down. There you go. That's good. So it says continue in this manner, removing pending true from 1 or 2 examples at a time, working your way down the specs until you've implemented all the instance methods of the class guess, which processes a guess and modifies the instance variables wrong guesses and guesses accordingly. Check win or lose, which returns one of the symbols win, lose, or play, depending on the current game state, and word with guesses, which substitutes the correct guesses made so far into the word. Okay, so you've done word with guesses. You've done the guess method. Have you done the check win or lose method? And I didn't see.
I think that's what we should be picking up from today.
I think so. Is that what you understand, Faith?
Oh yeah. It's been long, since I read this repo. Yeah, that's it.
Mike, are you driving? Because you're sharing your screen, but then it doesn't seem, I don't know if it's frozen, but it doesn't seem like you're actually doing anything.
Yeah, I already did implement them earlier on today.
The check win or lose?
Yeah.
Oh, Faith, have you finished the check win or lose?
Yes.
Oh, okay, cool. So let's move on to the next part then.
Maybe we can just review what we did.
Yes.
Sure. Good. Yeah.
Baby. The mother.
This is nice. Do you have Robocop installed?
Myself?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I should have it in the gem file.
You could have it or add an extension.
Or an extension.
Yeah.
Atom.
I don't know what's the best Robocop extension for Atom.
I would be careful. Like personally, I don't like using RoboCop on my Atom. But it's up to you. It just annoys me because it just And because a lot of times you're working on for example, when you're working on website 1, it'll just annoy you about a bunch of stuff that you didn't write and you don't have any authority to go changing. So what I would suggest is just running it from your command line. So like you can go and you can run any file you want by just going to the command line and saying rubocop and passing in the file. Although you may need to gem install rubocop if you don't already. Did you try running rubocop in the name of the file? Just rubocop and then where the file resides. So yeah, nice. Thanks, Faith. And was there a particular reason you were suggesting that Mike run rubocop on this file? Did you see something that you are pretty sure that rubocop is going to complain about, or something that you wanted to point out?
Yes. But I wasn't okay. I wasn't so sure. I was just
right. So there's quite a few things rubocop's not happy about. The first one, I don't know, Faith, if you just kind of I just kind of ignore that first one. Sometimes the missing top level class documentation comment.
Yeah, I've forgotten, but somebody was telling me how important it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I've forgotten.
Yeah, I think it's probably, yeah, I think maybe ignoring it is not the best. It's not the best. It's just like sometimes I don't know what to comment. And then I guess the frozen string literal, if you run with the -a, which is like autocorrect, it will add that for you. Although I have run into, I think, yeah, I'm not sure. Missing magic comment. Then it's, yeah, I guess it's saying that the perceived complexity for guess is too high. Yeah, the one on line 19 is the one I told you about yesterday that I think you haven't fixed yet. So that would be a good one to fix. And then I guess the yeah, I don't know about the line length. Like it's complaining about the line is too long on line 19 as well, but I'm not sure exactly how you would fix that unless you, I don't know. Does anyone have any ideas? I guess there was that, yeah. Can you do that? I know you can do that in Dockerfile. Right, so it all still passes. And what about if you ask Rubocop? I think Rubocop will still complain though. I think it'll complain that it's not. Yeah, so you can see there it says align the operands of a condition in an if statement spanning multiple lines. Does that make sense?
Where are we? You're almost dead.
Who are you talking to, Faith?
Yeah, like where are we?
We were just. I got lost as well, but I was just asking Mike if he understood that error that was talking about they must be aligned, but I think maybe he did because, maybe not because you put it back where it was.
Yeah, okay. On line 19, I put it back as was.
Did what?
This error.
You put it back where it was.
Yeah. So it's still saying line too long for line 19.
Yeah, because you put it back where it was. If you wanted it to span multiple lines, then you can do what you did before. But it's saying that you need to align the if statement, like, so where it says letter dot nil, you need to have the letter dot empty be in line with the letter dot nil. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Go back to the.
So this and
Yeah, I would. Yeah, or maybe. Yeah. Like that probably. Although I don't know how it is with the OR block.
okay.
So those are not in line, Mike. Just going to complain about the same thing. The L does not start where the L starts.
And do you need is it the forward or backslash? I don't think you need it.
Okay.
It might complain about white space.
Yeah, that's true. Although I'm curious that if you can, trailing white space. Although I wonder if I mean, I guess, yeah, maybe we can go through this now, but I wonder if we should not. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't care either way, but this is more of a refactoring than actually getting the completed and submitted. And so I'm not sure if now is like, unless there's something specific that I mean, we could go through really quickly. There's some of that we're not going to change probably, like the Mike, can you go back to the one that, no, yeah, there you go. The first and second one, we're not going to, and third and fourth one, we're not going to be able to do anything about, I don't think, unless, because I don't really know what to do about perceived complexity. Then do not use unless with else. Rewrite these with positive case first. Does that make sense to anyone?
Yeah.
So this
I don't know where the else is.
It's
maybe
after unless.
Yeah, right. It's like unless this,
And
then do this. Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay.
So maybe.
So I don't, but I don't think, Faith, you don't have an else there, do you?
I do.
What I could do is maybe.
I don't think so, because if you want to return false, sorry, before you do that, remember that the last line of the method is going to return false. So before you do that.
Yeah, maybe then I'll have false after.
Yeah, but then. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Yeah, okay, I see what you did. So that got you past that error, right? But now that introduced a new error where you have where now your line 24 is too long. Although you do have two trailing white spaces that you could delete, it's still too long. So I'm not sure. Like it's kind of difficult because if you break it into multi-lines like I did, I think it'll complain that it'll give a different error that the method is too long. And if you leave it like this, it'll complain that the line is too long. So I think you're going to get an error one way or the other. So you just need to choose which error that you are more comfortable with and just leave it. I mean, I don't know, unless anyone else has. I mean, you could break the guess method into different methods, and that would take care of the things that you were complaining about earlier, Mike. That and when Ryder was here about how this method is doing way too many things, and that you could call another method from within the guess method that takes care of some of the validation type stuff. But again, like, I'm not sure. I mean, if you think that that's a good use of this time, then by all means, let's do that. Or we could move on with the homework, you know?
I think Faith could maybe point out something that she saw here so that maybe we are straight to the issue that she maybe saw, and then maybe we can proceed from that.
Nothing.
Well, I
was curious.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, that's what I understood. It was something specific that was bothering her, but it's just like I agree with Faith. Like I think, and I did mention. I guess like Well, yeah, I guess like I can show. Do you remember when I showed you my solution yesterday? There was one thing that I had mentioned to. There was one thing that I had mentioned that I refactored.
Yeah.
That I can show you. Homework week 2. So homework Sinatra. Then here. So hang person game. So like, yeah, this I still need to refactor. So, and this, like we talked about that already, it's probably better the way you guys did it. So, but the one thing I, that I refactored was this part here, like where you just have the instance variable displayed one time, and then you say append to it. If the guesses dot include letter, append the letter, else append the, the dash, and then return the displayed. So that's one thing maybe you could refactor. And then as far as like the words with check win or lose, I don't know, is this what you did? You called the method word with guesses, and then if the word is equal to the displayed, win, else if wrong guesses dot length is equal to 7, lose, else play. I think that's what you did.
So I did something different but the same.
Yeah. So interesting, Mike. You didn't even call the method word with guesses. Oh, okay. There you did. Yeah. If word with guesses is equal to word. Oh, okay. That's interesting. All right. So that would probably even be actually one line less than what I did. And what did you do, Faith?
Let me share my screen.
Yes, please.
Can see it? What? Robocop has done something.
Yeah, so I was going to mention that as far as like paying attention to Rubocop, you have to be careful because that frozen string doesn't always work. Like you can see, like that's the reason you're getting that error is because you're listening too much to Rubocop, maybe.
Yeah.
So just delete that line that Rubocop was telling you. Oh, have you rerun it?
Yep.
Oh, so I think you're screwed forever now. Oh, so now it works. Oh, cool. And check win or lose, return lose if wrong guess is greater than or equal to 7. Nice. Yep, that's actually probably better than the way Mike and I did. That was like if it's equal to 7. Although I don't know if they would ever get to 8 guesses, but yeah, number of guesses equals 0. Yeah.
I feel like I did a lot of things.
Yeah, it seems like maybe you kind of have some of the same logic that you have in the
Actually, it's the same.
Yeah. So yeah, I would suggest trying it out a little bit because you don't want to have the I think like there, for example, the I put in a PR this week for website 1 where I had some JavaScript that was already present in the program somewhere else, and it didn't pass the build because of a code smell on Code Climate. So I don't know if there's any way that you can submit this file to Code Climate, but I would be interested if you did, if it would complain as well.
I could try that later.
Yeah. Did Rubocop Rubocop didn't complain about the like duplicate code?
Nope.
Okay, so maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's not configured to pick up on that, or it is a little bit different, right?
The logic inside is not the same, but
yeah. Yeah, but you're going through the
But anyway.
Number of guesses plus equals 1 if guesses don't include letter. Okay. Right. Interesting. And it passes all the tests. Yeah. If the word number of guesses is equal to the word dot length.
Win.
Win. Else play. Cool. Awesome.
Okay, I'll refactor.
So who's gonna drive the next part?
Restful thinking.
Yeah, maybe it's better you, Faith. I think Mike's paying attention, but maybe a little bit distracted.
Okay.
So I mean, of course, Mike, if you want to jump in at any point, just tell us.
Yeah, yeah. I think we can do the normal readings. I don't know if there'll be a lot of readings on the next slide.
Yeah. Where we take turns reading. Yeah, I think there is actually.
Restful thinking for hung person. Note: Part 2 is just reading or background info for Part 3. Goals: Understand how to expose your app's behavior as restful actions in a SaaS environment and how to preserve game states across stateless HTTP requests in your app using the app server's provided abstraction for cookies. Okay. New things. What you will do: create a Sinatra app that make use of the hung person logic developed in the previous part, allowing you to play hung person via browser. Game state. Should I continue reading?
Whenever you want to yield to someone, just.
Okay. Game state. Unlike a shrink-wrapped app, SaaS runs over the stateless HTTP protocol, with each HTTP request causing something to happen in the app. And because HTTP is stateless, we must think carefully about the following two questions. 1. What is the total state needed in order for the next HTTP request to pick up the game where the previous request left off? Number 2, what are the different game actions and how should HTTP requests map to those actions? The widely used mechanism for maintaining state.
Should we answer the questions? Oh, okay. There's no answer. Okay.
It's one of the answers.
Yeah, I thought they were from like in the previous sections. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not that there's no answer. It's just that there's no answer given on this page. But if you would like to talk about the questions and give your opinions on what you think, and I was reading I'm going through reading the book right now, and I was reading a little bit about this today. So I don't know. We can talk about if we want to use the book at all.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah. So what is the total state needed in order for next HTTP request to pick up the game where the previous request left off? What is the total state needed? What does total state mean? What is the total state needed in order for the next HTTP request to pick up the game where the previous request left off? What is the total state needed?
I think it's just how you need to ensure that, like, it expects a certain, your logic needs to be in a certain way for it to process whatever you want it to process. That would be my guess.
So I guess if we back up before the question, it says, unlike a shrink-wrapped app, SaaS runs over the stateless HTTP protocol. Do you understand so I guess if you're asking about the total state, do you understand what it means, like total stateless HTTP protocol?
Yep. I think stateless means once the request has been replied, the connection is cut off. Like there is no.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. So
So that means like each HTTP request has its own state. Like, it has its own information, right? That is not shared between HTTP requests, right?
Yeah.
Does not require the server to retain session information or status about each communication partner for the duration of multiple requests. Yeah, the connection between the browser and the server is lost once transaction ends.
Yep.
Thank you.
Does that help to answer your question, Mike? Or are you still unclear what it means by the total state?
Okay. The issue of state makes sense, but I thought total state was something huge, like total state, like.
I think it like depends on what kind of thing that you're trying to accomplish, right? So the total state for when you're trying to like get specific information about a movie is different than than the total state that you're needed if you're playing the hang person game with a SaaS app over HTTP protocols. So every time you send a request, it's not going to contain the information that's needed to for it to remember the state of the game.
Yes.
So we need to add something that's going to allow it to remember that state over a specific session, for example. You know?
Yeah, true.
Do you know what we would use?
From the class videos, they talked of cookies.
Yeah, exactly. And we're about to get to that, where Faith is showing us underneath the actual questions. Yeah. And then I guess the second one.
What are the different game actions? And how should HTTP request map to those actions?
Action meaning user input.
I assumed when you're putting the guesses. Guessing is an action, though.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
What are we saying, Venus?
So yeah, I guess guess is one of the game actions. And then do you know like the different types of HTTP requests?
Post put the I don't know.
Yeah, post, put, get, delete,
Update.
and update. Yeah.
No.
Update is put.
Yeah.
Okay. Mike, do you want to read from widely used mechanism or?
Yeah. No. Let
Okay,
me My God, so sorry. The widely used mechanism for maintaining state between a browser and a SaaS server is a cookie. Maintaining state. The server can put whatever it wants in the cookie up to a length limit of 4. That's kilobytes.
Yep.
The browser promises to send the cookie back to the server on each subsequent request. Since each user's browser gets its own cookie, the cookie can effectively get used to maintain per user state. In most SaaS apps, the amount of information associated with a user session is too large to fit into the 4KB allowed in the cookie. So as well, we see in Rails, the cookie information is more often used to hold a pointer to state that lives in a database. But for this example, the game state is small enough that we can keep it directly in the session cookie.
Yeah, so this cookie thing, is it 4KB per web browser? Like, so in my web browser, I can't have cookies for greater than 4 kilobytes, no matter how many websites I access.
And that's 4 kilobyte per.
I'm just asking if that memory is specific to a web browser.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the cookies would only be using the cookies when you're using the web browser. Like, and
Yeah.
it's not like stored until you get to 4 kilobytes, and then you can never use cookies again. Like the cookies will be like for that session. So when that session is terminated, so if you close your browser, for example, then it will start from 0 again.
Okay. Yeah, maybe in some cases, I see that it still tends to remember what was there previously. I don't. Maybe I should read on how cookies work.
I should.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you do. We will see a little bit about how they work, and you can say like session.clear, for example, if you want to clear the session. And yeah. Anyways.
Okay. So Faith, I'm going to take over, right?
Yes.
So you've left me with what I wanted. Self-check question. Enumerate the minimal game state that must be maintained during a game of hung person. Enumerate the minimal game state that must be maintained during a game of hung person. Game state. Sounds like win or lose. If someone is winning or playing or losing. The minimal game state. Or maybe if someone is guessing something wrong or right. I don't know.
The minimal game state that must be maintained during a game. I guess that's the whatever you're doing to play the game. If I was to guess, it's the one they're talking about, the one thing that won't change, like the bare minimum of what your app should be like, whether you're playing or you haven't played, you've won a game.
Like the bare minimum of what can change.
Of what shouldn't change, like how my app should look like. The game.
Yeah. So, are you saying like that would contain what Mike was saying, like the guesses, the wrong guesses, that kind of stuff, or?
So that's not the bare minimum, because if I haven't started playing, so based on my thinking, if I haven't started playing, then I shouldn't see any wrong guesses. And if I've played, I can only see either whatever I've won or lost. So the bare minimum is, say, the first thing you see before you even start playing on the game.
But if you haven't started playing, your
That's
guesses
how I
are
think
empty.
about it.
Oh. Before you start playing, you still have your guesses, but they're not. Yeah,
Okay.
you can click on that. I want you to click on that.
The secret word. You can read. Are you reading? Will you mute
You're
it?
talking to Mike, right?
Yeah.
Mike, I think it's still your turn.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay.
I was reading softly.
Quietly. I thought you might be. I could hear you reading, but
The secret word, the list of letters that have been guessed correctly, the list of letters that have been guessed incorrectly. Conveniently, the well-factored hang person game class encapsulates these states using the instance variables as proper object-oriented design recommends. The secret word, the list of words that have been guessed correctly, and the list of letters that have been guessed incorrectly. Okay, so enumerate the minimum game state.
so I think that's kind of what you said, right, Mike? The only difference maybe is that you were talking about it should keep a record of whether you win, lose, or play.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, I don't know if it's clear why that's not, because I was thinking that as well, but then now reading this, I was thinking maybe it doesn't need to keep track of that, because when the word is equal to the displayed or whatever, then it will render the win.
Yes, so like the win, lose, and the other part that we implemented, I don't know, win, lose, or play. Okay, they are calculated. Like they are calculated based on the state that these things, they are calculated based on the secret word and the guesses. Yeah, so maybe that's why it's not part of this.
Yeah, because then it'll actually, like, if the person wins, it'll send them to the win URL.
Yeah.
And render that page, and so it doesn't actually, you don't need it to keep track of that in the game state, you know.
Okay, makes sense. The game as a restful.
Mike, something I just thought about. I don't know. Maybe you're already doing. Are you remembering to focus the live broadcast on who's sharing their screen?
How do I do that?
You just click on the person's. I think you are, because you're probably, you're watching Faith. So never mind. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry. So the game as a RESTful resource, self-check question, enumerate the player actions that could cause changes in the game state. Enumerate the player actions that could cause changes in the game state. Guess?
Guess.
Guess and guess and guess and guess. Guess wrong, right? Guess right.
Play again.
Yeah.
Yes. Hey, Dan.
Hey.
Hello.
Well, my YouTube video didn't work out very well. because apparently I clicked on Matt's little box in the bottom before the video started, and so it's like not showing any video. The only video is like in the bottom corner of the screen. So.
Oh man, we were actually just talking about that.
Well, were we talking about that?
Yeah.
I was asking if Mike remembered to click on the person who's sharing their screen. And that's, I guess that's what, I guess it's the opposite. Sorry?
Is it the same thing as what has happened to Dance?
Yeah, because, well, I mean, it's maybe the opposite of what happened to Dan. Like, Dan clicked on mine so that whatever I was doing was being broadcast on YouTube Live, which I don't think I was doing very much.
You're going to slurry pass.
Yeah. That's a shame.
Oh,
I mean, I guess do you need to? I mean, I suppose it still would meet the requirements of what you need to submit. Although, and I don't know if there are actually people who are reviewing the videos. It would probably be difficult for them if they are reviewing it, but I don't think that that's the case.
Yeah, I don't think so, because I think it's just since the videos are kind of optional. There are like different ways that you can do. I doubt they would review the videos, but maybe
they might pick a few, of which Dan, your video would be one of them.
Yeah, a few great examples of.
Yeah, they might use it in future iterations to like show people like, so this is an example of what not to do. Click on Matthew's face. He's not even sharing. I mean, I'm glad I had my camera turned off, because that would have been kind of interesting to watch me there playing with my beard for an hour. Did you? I guess when we left, it would have went back to your.
When we left.
When we
left. When left
and then Faithla.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, probably.
I mean, the later part of the video might be interesting, although yeah. Anyways, cool. So we were just reading about RESTful resources in. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so are we on homework 3, or in the Rails portion?
We're still in homework 2, but we got past that first part. So now we have like we have a way for people to be able to. Well, actually, we don't have a way for people to be able to guess. We have a way for the test to be able to guess, and we have a way to be able to check whether the person won or lost. And now we're just talking about how we're going to end up getting users to be able to actually interact with the application.
Okay.
So I guess we answered that question, unless anybody else. So we were talking about the enumerate the player actions that could cause changes in the game state. And Mike said like guessing, and then Faith said to start a new game.
Yeah.
So
maybe I can continue.
Yeah, maybe read to a mapping resource, and then I can go, and then give Dan a chance as well.
Yeah, then I can say no.
Okay. In a service-oriented architecture, we do not expose internal state directly. Instead, we expose a set of HTTP requests that either display or perform some operation on a hypothetical underlying resource. The trickiest and most important part of RESTful design is modeling what your resources are and what operations are possible on them. The trickiest and most important part of RESTful design is modeling what your resources are and what operations are possible on them. In our case, we can think of the game itself as an underlying resource. Doing so results in some important design decisions about how routes in bracket URLs will map to actions and about the game code itself. Since we've already identified the game state and player actions that could change it, it makes sense to define the game itself as a class. An instance of that class is a game.
Sorry.
Yeah, an instance of that class is a game and represents the resource being manipulated by our SaaS app.
Mapping resource routes to HTTP requests. Our initial list of operations on the resource might look like this, where we've also given a suggestive name to each action. Create a new game. Show the status of the current game. Guess a letter. Self-check question. For a good RESTful design, which of the resource operations should be handled by the HTTP GET, and which ones should be handled by the HTTP POST?
Get, show,
Get show.
post, create. And then guess is also a post.
So show would be a get, right?
Yeah. Should I open? Drum rolls.
Operations handled with GET should not have side effects on the resource, so show can be handled by a GET. Very good. But create and guess, which modify game state, should use POST. In fact, in a true service-oriented architecture, we can also use other HTTP verbs like put and delete, but we won't cover that in this assignment.
What?
HTTP is a request-reply protocol, and the web browser is fundamentally a request-reply user interface. So each action by the user must result in something being displayed by the browser. For the show status of current game action, it's pretty clear that what we should show is HTML representation of the current game, as the word with guesses method of our game class does. In a fancier implementation, we would arrange to draw an image of part of the hanging person. Yeah. But when the player guesses a letter, whether the guess is correct or not, what should the HTML representation of the result of that action? Answering this question is where the design of many web apps falters. In terms of gameplay, I don't know, should I read the rest of this? Maybe I'll just read the rest of this paragraph and you can read the rest, and I don't know, it's really long. Okay, so in terms of gameplay, what probably makes most sense is after the player submits a guess, display the new game state resulting from the guess. But we already have a RESTful action for displaying the game state. So we can plan to use an HTTP redirect to make use of that action. Dan?
We can plan to use an HTTP redirect to make use of that action. This is an important distinction because an HTTP redirect triggers an entirely new HTTP request. Since that new request does not know what letter was guessed, all of the responsibility for changing the game state is associated with the guess a letter RESTful action, and all of the responsibility for displaying the current state of the game without changing it is associated with the display status action. This is quite different from a scenario in which the guess a letter action also displays the game state, because in that case, the game display action would have access to what letter was guessed. Good RESTful design will keep these responsibilities so that each RESTful action does exactly one thing. A similar argument applies to the create new game action. The responsibility of creating a new game object rests with that action, no pun intended. But once the new game object is created, we already have an action for displaying the current game state. So we can start mapping our RESTful actions in terms of HTTP requests as follows, using some simple URIs for the routes.
Faith, do you want to generate?
No.
Okay. So, Mike.
That's funny. That's funny. So,
reading is optional.
So we have route and action, and then we have resource operation, then web result. So get show. The operation is show game state, and then the web result is display the correct and wrong guesses so far. Okay. Then a post request, which is called guess, update game state with new guest letter, then redirect to show. Yeah, so it seems like when we access guess, an update is done, and then there's a get request to show which is redirected, and then we have the create, which create a new game and then redirect to show as well. So the two post requests are redirecting to show, because I think since it's posting, it's not pulling anything back apart from the success message. So when it gets the success message, it redirects to show. So in a true service-oriented architecture, we'd be nearly done, but a site experience through a web browser is not quite a true service-oriented architecture. Why? Because a human web user needs a way to post a form. A human web user needs a way to post a form. A get can be accomplished by just typing. Where was I? A get can be accomplished by just typing a URL on the browser's address bar, but a post can only happen when a user submits an HTML form, or as we'll see later, when an Ajax code in JavaScript triggers an HTTP action. So to start a new game, we actually need to provide the user a way. So to start a new game, we actually need we need to provide the user a way to post a form that will trigger the post create action. You can think of the resource in question as the opportunity to create a new game, so we can add another row in our table of routes. Then they're doing just the same table as they had above. They have a get request that goes to new, then give human user a chance to start a new game, display a form that includes start new game button. Similarly, how does the human user generate the post for guessing a new letter? Since we already have an action for displaying the current game state, show, it will be easy to include on that same HTML page guess a letter form that when submitted generates the post or the post guess action. We will see this pattern mirrored later in Rails. A typical resource such as the information about a player will have create and update operations, but to allow a human being to provide the data used to create or update a player record, we will have to provide new and edit actions respectively that allow the user to enter the information on an HTML form. Wow, that was from I don't know if I understood what I read.
Yeah, I think that's quite common, like especially English is not your first language, right, Mike?
Nope.
So I think a lot of times when you're actually the one doing the reading, you kind of just are focusing on how to pronounce the words and not focusing really on what it means, you know?
Yeah.
Plus,
So if you want to take a second, like,
plus I think
I guess like if you've seen in Pride before, like when if we can create a new resource in Pride by just like passing in like the title and the description and the date or whatever. Whereas, yeah.
Oh.
Whereas if you're doing it in the web browser, you need to actually give a form to the user to be able to fill out those fields.
Yes.
So that's, I mean, that's what that last part was about. I don't know. You read quite a lot, so I don't know if that's what you were talking about, but
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Now it makes sense. So what
I can send a there's a screenshot from the that's directly from the book that talks about this as well, that I can send to the channel so you can watch that.
Okay.
It's interesting the analogy you've just said about if English is not your first language, you focus on the spelling more than understanding what you're reading.
Yeah, I've noticed that with
it's my first language, but it still happens to me. If I'm just reading, I just
yeah, right,
reading rather than thinking. So
Yeah. And then also, if it's not your first language, you'd most likely read an English statement and translate it to your first language in order to understand it.
yeah, I bet it's a lot more difficult to
yeah.
read
We need to
aloud.
have one of these weekend collaborations. And Swahili is your first language, right?
Yeah.
No.
We've ever had scrums, a scrum session in Swahili. Matt,
let's do it.
you read it? I thought you watched it or not.
I'll have to watch that. We should do a scrum session in Swahili. That'll be easier than doing a whole weekend collaboration in Swahili.
Yeah.
I'm getting there. I know Sasa.
Sasa Scrum.
Yeah, Sasa Scrum. Cool. Let me know what time you guys are going to do it. I'll stop by.
Yeah.
So is it my turn to read? I think Faith has decided not to read anymore.
Yeah.
Okay. So why is it appropriate for the new action to use get rather than post?
The new action to use get rather than post because it's not
Created
into the server.
Yep.
Yeah.
And what is it getting?
Whatever has been created, a saved version.
Sorry.
A form? Is it a
Yeah.
I would say a saved version of what has been created.
Yeah. No, I think that's what the show does, right?
Yeah, could you scroll up, Faith? Scroll up. Yeah, the get new. Give human user a chance to start a new game. Then it displays a form that includes start new game button.
Yeah. So then when the person clicks on the start new game button, that's what's going to create the new game. So do you want to open it? No.
Yes, I can.
I'm being too polite. Faith, open it now. The new action doesn't by itself cause any state change. It just returns a form that the player can submit. Explain why the get new action wouldn't be needed if your hang person game was called as a service in a true service-oriented architecture.
Human beings are not involved.
Yeah.
So we don't have to please anyone. We just have to talk to the server. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. Yes, no, no.
Okay. In a true SOA, the service that calls Hangperson can generate an HTTP post request directly. The only reason for the new action is to provide the human web user a way to generate that request. Yeah, so that's basically what you said. No, Mike?
Yeah.
Lastly, when the game is over, whether win or lose, we shouldn't be accepting any more guesses. Since we are planning for our show page to include a letter guess form, perhaps we should have different type of show action when the game has ended. One that does not include a way for the player to guess a letter, but perhaps does include a button to start a new game. We can have separate pages for winning and losing, both of which give the player the chance to start a new game. Since the show action can certainly tell if the game is over, it can conditionally redirect to win or lose action when called. The routes for each of the restful actions in a game based on the description of what the route should do. So show game state, allow player to enter guess, may redirect to win or lose. And that's the verb or the method. Show, get, show. Display form that can generate post create is get new. Starts a new game, redirects to show game after changing state, post create. Process guess redirects to show game after changing state, post guess. Show you win page with button to start new game, get win. Show you lose game page with button to start new game, get lose.
Daniel?
All right, summary of the design. You may be itchy about not writing any code yet, but you have, oh wait, are y'all not writing any code yet?
Nope. Not itchy. I'm so happy.
No? All right.
Really? Come on, Faith.
You have finished the most difficult and important task, defining the application's basic resources and how the RESTful routes will map them to actions in a SaaS app. To summarize, we already have a class to encapsulate the game itself, with instance variables that capture the game's essential state and instance methods that operate on it when the player makes guesses. In the model view controller paradigm, this is our model. Using Sinatra, we will expose operations on the model via RESTful HTTP requests. In MVC, this is our controller. We will create HTML views and forms to represent the game state, to allow submitting a guess, to allow starting a new game, and to display a message when the player wins or loses. In MVC, these are our views. Note that Sinatra does not really enforce MVC or any other design pattern. If anything, it's closest to the page controller pattern, where we explicitly match up each RESTful request with an HTML view. But it's a simple enough framework that we can use it to implement MVC in this app since we only have one model. As we'll see later, more powerful MVC-focused frameworks like Rails are much more productive for creating apps that have many types of models. So
Nice. So Sinatra isn't like it doesn't enforce the MVC framework. Like we just build to follow the MVC pattern, but it's not really enforced.
All right.
Yep.
Was that a question, Mike, or
just a comment from Dance Reed?
Yeah. It's not enforcing MVC, whereas like Rails, for example, is MVC.
Mm-hmm.
Sinatra is not. Like,
yeah.
I was reading about it today, actually. It's really interesting.
Okay.
Yes. Connecting Hangperson to Sinatra.
Part 3, connecting Hangperson to Sinatra. You've already met Sinatra. Here's Here's what's new in the Sinatra app skeleton app.rb that we provide for hung person. Before do end is a block of code executed before every SaaS request. After do end is executed after every SaaS request. The calls ERB action cause Sinatra to look for the file views action.erb and run them through the embedded Ruby processor, which looks for constructions like this. Okay, executes the Ruby code inside and substitute the result. Okay, so this bit is saying the calls ERB. Okay, what are these? Like this doesn't make sense completely.
Oh, can you? It probably doesn't make sense because you're not looking at the app.rb. So if you, I don't know, Mike, if you want to open up if you want to go to your code Faith, I guess, since we're focusing on Faith. There we go. So then you have there where you have get new on line 24. So that's going to say, like, remember from when we were playing with it before in Sinatra, it's like the routing that you've seen before when we've been doing some stuff in Rails. So it's going to get that, that's like localhost, whatever, /new.
Yeah.
Or if it's on, when it gets to Heroku, it's going to be whatever, magic pumpkin or whatever /new. And it's going to render the ERB new. And have you heard of ERB before?
ERB is it's Ruby something, Ruby runtime something.
Embedded Ruby?
Embedded Ruby, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's right there.
Okay.
So.
Okay, maybe then I'll read it one last time. You've already met Sinatra. Here's what's new in the Sinatra skeleton app.rb that we provide for young person. Before do end is a block of code executed before every SaaS request. After do end is executed after every SaaS request. The calls ERB action cause Sinatra to look for the file views action.erb and run them through embedded Ruby processor, okay, which looks for constructions like that, executes the Ruby code inside and substitute the result. The code is executed in the same context as the call to ERB, so the code can see any instance variables set up in the get or post blocks. Okay, the code is executed in the same context as the call to ERB, so the code can see any instance variable set up in the get or post block. What's context in this? In this?
In this context?
Yeah, in this context.
What's context in this context?
Yeah. The code is executed in the same context as the call to ERB. Oh yeah, it makes sense. So it's saying that the like this that they're saying over there is executed in the same context as confused now. So yeah, so if I may understand, it says that this code like this is executed in the same context as the ERB, since the ERB maybe has other code which are not like this. And
yeah, I mean, so I think like when it's saying, like when there's a request made for get new, for example, then the ERB is going to call is going to render new, and at that point, when we're doing a get request for new, what is going to be the state of at guesses and at wrong guesses?
Oh yeah, it's like at guesses, at wrong guesses, when we're doing new is empty.
Sorry, I didn't understand that last part.
You asked what are going to be the states of at guesses, at wrong guesses when maybe we call new.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I've said that the state of at guesses and at wrong guesses when we are just creating a new game should be empty string for both.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then so I guess we could go through each one like and see like what the state of that will be when you call one of the other
guess,
like maybe post guess, for example.
Mm-hmm.
But
yep, yeah, makes sense. So self-check question. Game in this context is an instance variable of what class? Careful, tricky. Context comes up again. Game in this context. Before do game equals session. Game. Wrong person game.
Wrong person game.
Yep, I agree. It's an instance variable of hang person app class in app.rb file. Game in this contains instance variable of what class? So it's an object of hang person game class, but it's an instance variable of hang person. It's an instance variable within hang person app. So it's an instance variable of the hang person app class in the app.rb file. Remember, we are dealing with two Ruby classes here. The hang person game class encapsulates the game logic itself. That is the model in the model view controller, whereas the hang person app encapsulates the logic that lets us deliver the game as SaaS. You can roughly think of it as the controller logic plus the ability to render the views via ERB. Okay.
so the session, we've already identified the items necessary to maintain game state and encapsulated them in the game class. Since HTTP is stateless, when a new HTTP request comes in, there is no notion of the current game. What we need to do, therefore, is save the game object in some way between requests. If the game object were large, we'd probably store it in a database on the server and place an identifier to the correct database record into the cookie. In fact, as we'll see, this is exactly what Rails apps do. But since our game state is small, we can just put the whole thing in the cookie. Sinatra's Sinatra session library lets us do this. In the context of the Sinatra app, anything we place into the special magic hash session with square braces is preserved across requests. In fact, objects placed there are serialized into a text-friendly form that is preserved for us. This behavior is switched on by the Sinatra call enable sessions in app.rb. There is one other session-like object we will use. In some cases above, one action will perform some state change and then redirect to another action, such as when the guess action, triggered by post guess, redirects to the show action, get show, to redisplay the game state after each guess.
But what if the guest action wants to display a message to the player, such as to inform them that they have erroneously repeated a guess? The problem is that since every request is stateless, we need to get that message across the redirect, just as we need to preserve game state across HTTP requests. To do this, we use the Sinatra Flash gem, which you can see in the gem file. Flash is a hash for remembering short messages that persist until the very next request, usually a redirect, and are then erased. Self-check question. Why does this work? Why does this save work compared to just storing those messages in the session hash?
Does that make sense? Why does this save work compared to just storing? Should it be, why is this save work compared to just storing messages in the session hash?
Yeah, I mean, it would be does, because if you drop the Y and then you ask like a yes or no question, does this save work compared to just storing those messages in a session hash? And then you can say yes or no.
Okay. How does this save work?
So in this question, assuming like affirmative answer to that other question, does this save work? So they're telling you it does save work, and they're wanting to know why.
Why does this save work compared to just storing the messages in the session? Which save are they talking about? The flash.
Yes.
Why does this save work compared to just storing those messages in the session hash?
Is it? I think it's because you'd have to like create the session hash, like include the message in the session hash, and so you'd have to change it every time. I don't know.
Or could it be because we don't have states for the sessions? Like it's stateless? I don't know.
No, because we use session like because the HTTP requests are stateless. So, Faith, do you have any ideas? And like, I guess I'm not sure if I. So Dan, like I think that we probably would, for this to work properly, we would need to have a session hash already created. So I don't think it would involve creating a new one. But like, do you understand what the difference between the session hash and the flash hash are?
Flash is destroyed.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So what happens if you add messages to the session hash and that persists for the entire session? Like, I don't know if that makes sense. What I just asked. I'm not sure if I remember the answer, but
like when you add stuff to the session hash and it persists for the rest of the session.
Yeah.
The
So I
the
think
cookie
saves
is filled up, or
Yeah. So you could potentially run into that limit of 4 kilobytes. I think you would have to erase the messages so it saves work, because the flash hash automatically is only persist for until the very next request. So, and then they're erased. So they're erased for you, so you don't have to erase them yourself. I think, maybe.
yeah, makes sense.
Okay. Could you check and see if that's what they're talking about, or maybe? So it's me now. When we put something in session, it stays there until we delete it. The common case for a message that must survive a redirect is that it should only be shown once. Flash includes the extra functionality of erasing the messages after the request.
Yeah, makes sense.
After the next request.
Yeah. Although, yeah, I mean, I feel like most people don't worry about erasing things in their session. But yeah, and I'm not exactly sure like how many messages could you fit in a 4 kilobyte limit? I mean, is that like something like 3 messages, or would it be like something like 50 messages? Because I at some point you're going to terminate your session, and when you terminate the session, then it should delete those messages. But
4 KB is a lot, actually.
yeah. Oh, there we go.
Ah, okay.
So somewhere between 1,000 to 4,000 characters. So it's quite a lot, I mean, of text. So, I mean, the person would have to be getting a lot of different messages before they would run into that problem. But yeah, I don't know. I suppose like, because the session would continue if the person plays the game 50 times, for example, it would still, I don't know. Anyways, I guess the point is that you don't have to worry about deleting them. And since the message is only meant to be, yeah, I don't know. Anyways. I think it's your turn, Faith, no?
I'm just looking at, what was I like, Mike?
that you're happy that we're not doing any coding.
Oh, okay. Running the Slasher app before, run the shell command that to start the app, or that if you want to run the app each time.
Sorry, ma.
So of course I want to do this based on the output from running this command.
Faith, you're not sharing your screen anymore. But I was just gonna say that remember that that you're not using code 9.
So was that disclaimer?
Yeah, I don't know if you remember. They're all of these commands that they're giving you are assuming that you're running Cloud9, because they don't recommend that people use their local environments. So
Why?
Why do they not recommend people use their local environments?
Yeah.
Is that what you're asking? Well, I think like a lot of people, for example, like Dan is using Windows, and so there are problems to there. It's more difficult, I think, for to do things in Windows, and so I guess a lot of the students have Windows, and I mean, I guess one of the things is as well is that when people do run into issues, like, you know, you're more likely to run into issues on Windows than you are on Linux or Mac. And so when you have a big class, for example,
it can be difficult to work through all of the, you know, every little issue that everyone runs into. So yeah, do you understand that message?
You've said Linux or Mac. Mac uses Linux.
Actually, well, Linux and Mac are both Unix.
Okay.
And yeah, the difference being that Linux is open source and Mac is like for people with lots of money.
Faith. I think what you should do there in the -p, maybe you should pass a port within your, because doing $ port calls a variable which is not there.
Yep.
So maybe you should do 9393 or 8080 or something.
Yeah, I mean,
I've run this command before, like running.
Yeah. You ran it before, but it probably didn't work before either. And if you look at like the commands you ran before as well, you'll notice that you, right after you ran that command, you ran the command that oh, did it work? No. Yeah.
Yes. No.
There you go.
What's the previous command I used the other time we started?
So the flag P, I think, just means port, and then flag O means the IP address. Maybe yours will be localhost, but I don't think you need them right now.
Last time,
just need them.
Last time when you,
yeah, you can just run them without.
What is the command again? Who showed me?
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
Oh, this is
it's just that. Yeah, there you go.
So, based on the output from running this command, what is the full URL you need to visit in order to visit the new game page? Maybe localhost 9292. Is there something like that?
Yep.
Yeah, so that'll take you to the root of the application. Is that where you're trying to go, or?
I'm trying to answer this question.
Yeah. So what's the question?
Based on the output from running that command, what is the full URL?
So that's what I was getting at. Like what you said, localhost 9292 is going to take you to the root of the application. Is the root of the application where you want to go, or do you want to go to a different route?
I want to go to where my answer is, which is localhost. I don't know where that is.
Yeah, go there and let's have a look. Localhost 9292. Yeah. Okay, so is that the new game?
Yeah. Watch out for snakes.
There we go. So what's the full URI?
What's the full URI?
Yep.
Of what?
There you go. Of the new page, the new game page. It's not just localhost 9292, is it? It's localhost 9292 /
and EW.
Yes. And that, so I mean, I think we saw that earlier when we were talking about like get new and stuff like this is like a / new, right? So that / is like, you know, if you had just the /, then that means the root. But if you have / new, then, you know, then that's like a fragment of the URI. But the full URI would be, yeah, you can see there as well, posts new. I think it would be get new, wouldn't it? But
oh. So the web server connected to Sinatra is using local server. So for the first part of the URL, something like that. No.
Yep,
Ruby code get new in the app data be renders the new game page. So the full URL in this form is /new. Where is the HTML code for this page?
For new? It's in views new. I think I read something like that. Views new.
No. Views.
Yeah, data.
Is it action?
No, like instead of action. Of course, our action is new.
Yeah. Okay.
I would say maybe that.
You can check, but
Yep. Verify that when you click on the new game button, you get an error. This is because we deliberately left the form that encloses this button incomplete. We haven't specified where the form should post to. We'll do that in the next, but we'll do it in a test-driven way. But first, let's get our app on Heroku. This is actually a critical step. We need to ensure that our app will run on Heroku before we start making significant changes. And I think we had done this. Oh no, this is a different thing. The Heroku thing we had done before was in a different app.
Yeah, that was for the part 0, which is like the introduction to Sinatra.
Yeah. Where are you?
So Mike, you'll do this in the background as well?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna need to get going soon.
Me too.
But maybe we can. Yeah. Oh, I'm muting myself in the middle of talking. But yeah, maybe we can finish the rest of this because shouldn't take too long unless we run into any.
So
Faith is really fast because she's copying and pasting, which is awesome. Ready for Heroku end? Ready for Heroku end?
I think I'll do this later on. I'm being distracted.
Distracted by what, Mike?
By this.
Zeta.
Yep.
Or by
what? I can't press enter.
Try it.
Really? That's weird. Why can't you push enter?
It's never.
Nossa, que estranho, hein?
Try an end of file command. You do it, Control D.
Control D. Okay, thank you.
Look at that. Nice. Woo!
Since this is the first time we're telling Heroku about a hang, I know it's going to tell me to Sinatra. Delete some up.
See,
You thought that no one had ever chosen Heroku SAS?
No, it's because of the limit. Not.
Oh, sorry. What is up with that limit though? We don't have limits, Faith.
I do.
Why though? That doesn't make sense.
I think they started doing that after a while.
It's really weird.
Because I tried creating another. How do I delete?
Dan, do you have Heroku set up already?
No.
Okay. I guess maybe when you get to this point, we can. Well, I guess you have to create 5 apps first. That's really weird, you know.
I did that. I tried creating another account.
Yeah. And it
And
didn't help.
and I created 5 apps, and the 6th one required me to add billing information.
Weird. Oh, that's because I only read the first part. The Sinatra SAS is already taken.
I hadn't even read. I didn't read that. Oh.
Maybe I did add it. Maybe I did add a credit card for. I don't remember, but okay. Yes.
Then git push Heroku master.
Isso. Isso mesmo.
Then when you want to update Heroku locally, you need to commit your changes to Git locally. Then push Heroku as part of the last step. Verify that Heroku deployed hang% behaves the same way as the development version before continuing. A few lines up from the bottom of the Heroku output in the cloud should have a URL ending with Heroku app. Verify the broken functionality by clicking the new game. So
Cool, man.
yay! It's working. Yay!
and it has a pretty name. I think the last time we created such, we pushed just very ugly names.
Yeah, like
because you have the option, like even what they've just said. I think we should, when you say Heroku create, it should create a random name for you.
Yeah.
Cool. So, any last minute comments, complaints? No?
Well.
Oh, how did it go, Dan, with did you get that test passing?
I did. I got that passing. That worked like what I had done at the end.
Yeah.
And I got through a couple, or I also got through the hello name method. Yep. And so I'm on starts with consonant, and it is. Oh wait, I finished that. So I'm on a binary multiple of 4, and.
Oh yeah, cool.
Done.
Mm-hmm.
On your line 16.
Mm-hmm.
You can make it shorter, right?
Make this shorter. True if. Well, that's what I tried to do, but oh wait.
Oh yeah.
Well, let's see.
What were you thinking, Mike?
Right. So didn't we try? I tried to do flag equals x, y equals in.
Just with I was thinking without using the flag. just get rid of, just have it true if.
Oh, true if x plus y equals n.
Yeah, else false. What will that give?
Well, you can't do else false on inline. I guess what you could do is you could delete line 14 and you could say true if x plus y equals not n, and then on line 18 write false. Maybe. Like you'd have to return true though. Yeah. But
Yeah.
then that would return at the first true. But yeah, I guess that would work because you don't care if there's more than one way of getting to n. You just care if there's one way. But also as well, like I think the way you did it, Mike, like I don't know if you want to go, if you want to look at your code or show it to us or something. But I think like the entire sum to n method can be extracted down to one line.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because there's another method that you can call. You can chain methods. I remember we did something to do with the find method, so you might want to have a look at that and see if you care about refactoring it. I mean, there's no requirement that says you need to refactor, but if you get curious about that and want to have a look at combining the combination with the .find method, then you can make it on. You can refactor it to one line.
Yep, find method.
Okay. I think that, and I read it. I think I read it out before. Yeah. Yeah, passes each entry in enum block, returns the first for which block is not false. If no block is given, an numerator is returned instead.
So remember that if you call the method combination without a block, it's gonna return in an enumerator or an enumerator. Yeah, an enumerator. And then like calling the find on that, like you can just use a block like an inline block like you were using. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Because I guess that makes sense, right? That find is going to look for is going to return the first time you. So remember earlier when you were doing combination 2 in your prize session, you were like you said something about, okay, I guess this is going to return a bunch of falses and one true, or
Yep.
something like that. So like the first time you get something that's not false, so the first true, it's going to just return that, and then that's all you need, right? Because you just care if there's one time that two of those yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, so this would, let's see. Yeah, but so if I do it with combination 2, okay. Find. What happened? Right. But okay, so it would return this. Let's see. So it'd be a one line. You're saying you can do this in one line?
Yeah, that line on 15. Because remember, like if you call this without the find method, for example, then it's going to return false, 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 true, true, false, whatever, something like that. So, but then when you have find, it's going to say false, false, and then it's going to say true, and it's going to exit with the value of true. I believe. I mean, I'd have to double check, but so then you would just need 15. You don't need line 14 at all. And line 16 is just an empty line. I mean, in your case, it'd be 2 lines because you have a comment, but I mean, maybe that passes. There might be, yeah, there might be one of the tests that fail because of the nil.
Yeah,
but you could try that and see. I mean, I can look at my answer, but my answer wasn't as clean as I know Mike's, and I need to go through and refactoring because I know Mike and Faith came up with a really clean way of doing it. Do you guys, Mike, do you have yours handy?
Yeah.
I mean, you could run the test, Dan, and we can see. And then, oh yeah, okay. So I'm looking at
the true false after that.
Oh, okay, yeah. Right. So that's not quite, yeah, okay. Yeah, just.
okay, then true. Oh, right.
So if there's a match, then true. If not, false.
Yep.
I mean, I can show you mine as well, and you can decide for yourself which is cleaner. I guess I like theirs better. Mine has like this bang, and then the array dot combination dot find, and then have here, and then I check to see if it's nil.
No.
So
no.
Basically, and that passes. Although I'm not sure if I like. And I guess when I was saying earlier that I like the way you did things on this max to sum, I was thinking of a different method. So like I think the way we did it as well is pretty clean because we utilized the actual .sum method in Ruby.
Yeah.
So either way, I guess the way you did it or this way are both really clean. But yeah. So this passes as well. Although I think I like theirs better. I'm not sure. Because this is a little bit confusing. Like why is there this bang in the beginning? Like this normally means like not, right? So like the not the array, or I don't know. I mean it's interesting like what this will actually in Pry, what this will actually return. So if I have like it's easier to drop in a binding.pry now. Ruby intro, spec. So that failed on something. Oh, because of Pry, it doesn't know what Pry is.
So annoying. Why don't you know what pi is? I feel like you should know what pi is. Stop there, and then I can say where am I, and then there I am. And then so if I run array dot combination 2 dot find, and then I pass in
you missed a D.
Oh, I did. Thank you. Actually, I think I like your X and Y better than A and B. Well. Yeah, so Faith's gonna have to leave us. So yeah, so okay, so that's gonna return the actual array of it's gonna find the first example that's not gonna be a false. So
Okay.
yeah. I don't know. Has Faith left yet? So yeah, Faith, we're gonna be for I guess for anyone here, but Faith and I are gonna be working on Dockerizing local support tomorrow.
Yay.
So if Mike, you might be interested in that as well, because Mike's having some trouble getting set up on local support as well. So yeah, we'll be at that tomorrow. Not sure what time, Faith, but if you want to ping me on Slack, we can, or if you want to just create an event as well. Either way.
Okay.
And yeah, Dan, I'm not sure if you're interested in that kind of stuff, but it would be helpful for you as a Windows user, because yeah, anyways.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I don't know if I'd be able to make it, but I might be able to check out what y'all did.
Yeah, for sure. So if I put a bang in front of the array.combination.find, it comes up as a false, I guess, because the opposite of
it's true.
Yeah, it's like truthy. So the opposite of truthy is false. So then if I say nil, then it's going to be true. So I don't really like my my answer, because that's kind of like, it seems like that's, I don't know. It seems like that's not really a good way of coming to the answer.
You'd prefer this?
I think I prefer the way that Faith and Mike did it, where you're like, you can ask like if this comes back with something that's not false, then true, else false, and then that comes back true. That seems cleaner way of doing it, because I'm not sure, like, if I played around with this and I did, like, I don't know if I did something different, like, I'm not sure. I tried like something like that, if that would, that's false because 2 + 4 is not 5. If I say nil here and then put the bang here, with that, yeah, okay, so that would work as well. I don't know. I mean, what do you guys think?
Now, I was actually more interested in how y'all did the starts with consonant, because it looks like way better than mine.
Yeah, so I was going to comment about that. So you have there, like, I guess, do you have any good cheat sheet on regexes?
I was just going here to check that was what was suggested in the
that's a good
video,
one,
I think. But,
yeah, that's definitely.
So we got that.
I have another regex.
Another resource for the regex cheat sheets, or.
Hey, sorry, I dropped off there because I tried to open the cheat sheet in the same window as I have so you can see my screen, right?
Yep. Oh wait.
So this is I can share this on the group. Oh, you can't see it.
We can, yeah.
Sorry, because I'm not screen sharing anymore. I'm just sharing my face.
So this is another cheat sheet that I can share there on the chat, so you can have a look at it. But this will tell you, like, there is a way that you can just ask for if it's an easier way for you to ask if it's a val. Maybe. I mean, have a look here. Yeah. So,
ignore case. Okay.
So this is this here is like the start, and then this here is like, yeah, ignore case. Yeah, exactly. So I guess that's what. And then it's not AEIOU. Okay, yeah. So that's what you have. It's just you didn't have the ignore case.
And this, you just put the \W, not AEIOU, and then the non-word.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Which also as well, this actually, I'm not sure if it's the best. It depends on what you're looking for, because this means that actually if you started the S with a an underscore, for example, it might pass, because underscore is not a undefined local method. Hello. Okay. Oh, yeah, because I need to pass this into a string, right? Because this, so that's true, you know. That I think should be false. Like if let me just test. Oh, that's true as well. Oh, because it's not nil, right? Not AEIOU or a non-word character. But yeah, like if you look at that that regex that you were looking at, the capital W, it's a non-word character, but a word character includes like numbers and underscores for some reason.
Oh.
Although this seems to still be working when I'm so. Interesting.
But anyways, that test is not in the spec, right? So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so you don't have to worry about that. And also, it is failing when I do a lowercase w. So that's interesting. Maybe I need to play around more with this, because I understood that you could get past the test by having a number or an underscore, but it seems like I can't get past this test by doing that. So. Anyways, yeah, cool. So I will see some of you tomorrow in our Dockerization, which maybe Faith is going to create for us.
Done that.
Oh, already? Wow. Okay, let me see. What time did you create it for?
The best time ever.
All right, nice. Time ever. Let's see if the best time ever is a good time for me. I mean, I assume you looked at the other stuff that was going on. Is it the?
Oh, have I created in the wrong?
You always do things. Great idea.
What?
Did you create the events? Because I'm not seeing it on the website.
Let me share my screen. Yeah,
yes.
I'm seeing it on my. Here. It is. Oh, have I created in the wrong day? When is tomorrow? 19th. Tomorrow is
20.
20th. How do I? Oh, I can edit.
Okay. You just go the
20th.
Exactly. Well, I don't know, but change the project. Yes, so 69.
Oh yeah. Okay.
The link that will actually share to the right channel.
Oh, okay. What's
And-
the other thing? That's all. Should be 20th.
You made for 4:09 your time, which would be what?
12 UTC. How comes?
9.
Is it 20th?
Or if I can make it at that. Well, yeah, maybe. No, I mean, I can make it at that time, but because I need to start at 11 my time, so that would be in the middle of the pairing session.
Okay. What starts at? What time is best for you? Could just switch it.
Made it for starting at like 11:45 to 1. No, but I wouldn't have 2 hours then either. I guess the time I would have 2 hours is when we are kind of doing things with the website one, like beginner friendly issues, which is at
I could do on 1
time,
hour.
so 8.
Or 1 hour. 30 minutes. Could stop the broadcasting.
Either way.
We're no longer talking about